Yeah. Yeah. I know they mad for no reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Gotta move fast for a reason. I'm holding on to change my life. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Oh, 700K, I'm selling a Bitcoin. Haters mad, but they listen to this one. More profit coming to my direction. Yeah, you know me, I don't need a mention. I got the remedy, ooh, yeah. They don't just follow me, ooh, yeah. You say allegedly, ooh, yeah. You would subscribe to me, ooh, yeah. Staring at chart, drawing a line. Make a decision, you out of time. Huddling, huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. Huddling, huddling. I'm staring at charts until I retire. Yeah. See on stage. OnChain Revolution. Youngest. Phone.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire crypto ecosystem. What's up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're live for the OnChain Hour, and today's show is going to be absolutely amazing, guys, because we really feel like a Santa Claus rally is loading. What does that mean? Every December, normally going into Christmas, we see a huge rally from stocks, crypto, and every asset, really. Everything kind of runs up into the end of the year. Everyone's positioning themselves for next year. And I do think that's about to happen. I do think it's actually happening right now. And what happened on Monday really felt like we got played. It felt like we got played. It was like the day before officially getting out of quantitative tightening. The markets wanted to dump. And then we're seeing back to 92,000. We're seeing the crypto fear and greed finally get back into the 20s. We've been in the low teens for a long time. And it's been terrible. We even stopped covering it. It was so bad on the show. But we're going to talk about that. We got so much to cover today. I have a question. Like, what is max pain, right? Because right now, number go up feels like max pain. Number go down feel like max pain. Gainsey actually has a really good rant. We're going to play that later today, too. And with everything else, man, I mean, we had some jobs data today. First time in a long time. And it came in low. The jobs, there is just not enough jobs right now. The non-farm payroll came out, and you saw Polymarket just go to 95% cut in 7 days. So this time next week, 7 days from today, next Wednesday, we will be getting another 0.25 rate cut. But again, it really depends what Jerome says. And at the end of that meeting, or the beginning, or whatever, somewhere in between of the meeting. Got to remember, so the rate cut is at 2 o'clock next Wednesday. Jerome Powell speaks at 2:30, and then we kind of go from there, right? But as of yesterday, it sounds like Donald Trump has picked Jerome Powell's successor. It is official. It looks like we know who it is. So we're going to get into that as well. We have a lot to cover today. So without further ado, I'll be bringing my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? How you feeling today, bro?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm still just taking my time in terms of trying to have my emotions really, under control, because it feels great to have that bounce back yesterday, right? Yeah. But what we've experienced is just like volatility swings back and forth. Now, do I feel like there's something brewing and a lot of retail got juked out? I do believe that. I'm starting to believe that thesis even more. But does that mean up only for the rest of December? I'm not so sure. Like, PTSD lives strong in each and every one of us that are in this space every day. And so, especially someone that covers the Bitcoin price action on the daily, right? Like, I have to still be able to kind of, bring my emotions in and say, hey, how does the rest of the week play out? Strong, maybe start the next week pretty strong. Okay. I can hear the jingle bells coming, and maybe Santa's on his way, I should say. But yeah, so that's kind of how I feel right now. Unfortunately, whenever Bitcoin does start to show a lot of energy, though, some of the DeFi, playground areas get a little bit less activity because they're trying to see where Bitcoin wants to go. So Bitcoin needs to find some footing here, and then then we can start to trickle down into the more risk on areas.
100%. This right here is kind of how I feel right now. You ready for it?
Hey, I'm not afraid anymore. I said I'm not afraid anymore. Do you hear me? I'm not afraid anymore.
That's kind of how I feel right now. Right? You go outside, you're not afraid anymore, and then your big mid guy comes up and you just turn around and run away. So but yeah, man, hope we don't get
Was that your favorite? Was that your favorite Christmas movie? Is that your favorite Christmas movie?
Bro? Like, we got
You hate Home Alone?
The kids love it. I do. I don't think it's a Christmas movie.
Why? It's around Christmas time.
That's the only thing in it about Christmas that takes place during during the holiday.
He is grateful at the end, right, for his family. Let's be honest, his family treated him like crap. Like he was a problem child, but at the same time, it was brutal at the beginning of that movie. But yeah, I liked Home Alone. I felt like I remember it when I was younger, but yeah, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I see where you're coming from. It's not super like holiday cheer type of movie.
I mean, the kid's a psychopath. Like
he is a psychopath.
He seriously tries to kill these two men like 9 times.
But they also were bad men.
But they're all premeditated attacks, right? Like he thinks about all this before he does it.
He's having fun with it, basically.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about fun with it, but let's get into some OnChain Revolution. We do have some housekeeping to kind of get into real quickly. So OnChain Revolution is live everywhere, no matter what platform they try to ban us from. We keep building and streaming. So we just wanted to list here everywhere we stream. So if you guys go to our X account, you can see exactly where we stream on a daily basis. There's a couple new ones here. We do have Pump Fund. We're officially streaming over there. Here's the link for that if you're interested. We're on Rumble, Abstract, Twitch, Zora, Kick, and obviously YouTube and X. So just want to put that, make sure you guys know it's just pinned account. So if you do watch it anywhere else or want to watch us anywhere else, here is all the links right here for you guys. So but yeah, man, let's kind of get right into it, get into our main topic today, which is retail got played on Monday. Bitcoin turning bullish. Is the Santa rally finally loading? Are we about to get a Santa rally, Yagobi?
I have a feeling we are, and I do feel like retail did get played a bit. I need more data to confirm that thesis, right? Because yes, it feels good, but we have seen swings like this back and forth, and continually get tricked out, right? So I'm hoping that's not the case, right? Because the one thing that I think we have to remember is that like every situation that you might get wrong or might get partially right, you got to look back and learn from it, right? So what can we learn from the situation the past 6 months, or even a more local time frame, right? The last month and a half to 2 months, right? Is that you got to really remember the important data, important events that you get, right? So one of those events was whenever the Fed spoke, I believe it was November, when they put in the official documents that QT would end December 1st. I think a lot of retail was just like, who cares about that? Bitcoin, not intentionally, they just were blindsided by Bitcoin's price action, really emotional with it, and not remembering that it was an event that was going to happen, right? And it's not an instantaneous situation either, typically, right? Like you stop QT, you don't automatically roll into QE and everything gets risk on. But markets are always forward looking, especially the large institutions that like to deal with large size, right? Big whales, institutions. So what are they going to do? They want to get things cheap before we're actually in the risk on environment, before we actually go into QE, before cash is actually printed and, pumped into the economy, right? Or the markets. And so it makes sense for, to have Bitcoin crash and have these JP Morgan is shorting MicroStrategy and all these things, creating this ultimate fear. Everybody's wearing the bear market type of situation. They start acquiring kind of quietly, cheaply. And then all of a sudden QT happens. And it's still not great on the first day, but then towards that second half of that day, and then yesterday, you just start to see these headlines, right? Vanguard offers that product. We talked about this yesterday. Bank of America recommending 4%. Those are headlines that I don't think many people expected, right? But you got to remember a month and a half ago what came out in that Fed meeting. And so these are the kind of things you kind of look back on. How can you do it different next time?
Yeah, I think you said it perfect. You know, what happened on November 15th was, you know, they came out at 2 o'clock, like that was written in there, right? And then what happened at 2:30 came out, and one of the tools the Fed uses is their words, right? So he used his words. They set up the question. They knew the question was coming from the audience, and the way they worded the question was, "Are we guaranteed for a rate cut in December?" And he came out and he said, "No, we're not guaranteed," right? But obviously they were still considering it, but it was the way it was all worded made everything go so negative. And it kind of that was so far ahead of, you know, what happened at 2 o'clock. I thought the 2 o'clock thing kind of went out the window when he said that, because now people stopped looking at, you know, quantitative tightening December 1st, and we're so concentrated on not getting a rate cut in December. So, but now we're sitting in December. We just officially finished quantitative tightening, and we're about to get a rate cut in 7 days. So there's every reason for the market to be bullish, but it felt like you were 100% right. That was so manipulated for stuff like VanEck yesterday coming out and saying they're going to give Bitcoin to their clients. Yeah, right at 90K, not at 130, right? You're right. 100% right. I agree.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that the games are over, by the way. You know, I'm hoping they are. We are in, you know, the beginning of December, which is the last month of Q4, technically, right? But we could see some swing back today, and maybe they try to approach that $90,000 mark again and scare people again. You know, this year hasn't been easy, right, to say the least. And so, like you said yesterday, what makes you think that they're going to make it easy all of a sudden? Now, I think that would be pretty generous if they did for a Santa rally. I think we all deserve some sort of rally, right? But you do need to have continuous data that supports your thesis, and it's just so early right now. I do feel like that is kind of what happened, but you know, having a week of being stabilized for Bitcoin, looking like it wants to cross over 100K is going to be very important.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And just like you said, we need kind of these data points. We got two of them back to back here. So the fear and greed index, now it was in the extreme fear, and now we're finally growing out of that. We're back in the 28s, right? We haven't been in the 28s since October 10th. Before October 10th, we were in fear, and then we got to extreme fear for like an entire month. So we're finally getting out of that now, pulling up here, and I do think we start moving forward here. Fear and greed has been something that's just been so, I mean, it's so terrible, but it's dead on, right? Like we feel that on X.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get why we kind of discontinued that little segment before price action, but it has been pretty accurate for like a zoomed out kind of sentiment, right? When I say zoomed out, I'm talking about like even 3 to 5 days, because it's a daily thing. But the problem is that it got released like the night before, and so it'd be off a bit. But yeah, looks like Blazing Bandit, which is Ryan Boylan. It is weird that they YouTube added the tag names. We got to deal with it. He says, "What's up, my dudes? Appreciate you guys. I'm ready." Hey, we are all ready, right? We are definitely all ready. And I do want to give a shout out to the Pump Fund chat as well. EAM1FA says, "We got to hold 93K for Bitcoin." I agree with that. That is a kind of like that, you know, the next psychological level, right? That we haven't been able to kind of push past. So shout out to you guys over on the Pump chat as well. I'm managing that, by the way, so don't think I'm not seeing your comments. So keep dropping over there.
100%. Ryan says, my base wallet tells me I gotta cut the quintillion dollars that I can't use. I know that won't hold, but it gets me excited. Yeah, it's something to look forward to. It's potentially being a quintillionaire. So, but yeah, 100%. All right, let's jump to our next thing here. We got some data today. We got some economic data we haven't gotten in a long time because of the government shutdown. I don't understand why you don't get data during a shutdown. Like, everyone's still opposed to work. Like, I don't get it. But anyway, the US ADP, because they all got those back checks. So what do they just not work and then still get paid back? I don't know, but I think it's weird. US ADP and employment fell by 32,000 in November, the lowest level since March of 2023, compared with an expected increase of 10,000. Right. So Yeah, what that did. So I don't really understand the numbers sometimes. It's always crazy, but this is what I look at. I obviously look at Polymarket, and then when you see this down here, 94%. This went from 50%, I think, like 2 weeks ago, to 94% now. We are pretty much guaranteed that we get a rate cut here, 25 basis points in December. I think this is the best case scenario here, because now we are continuing our rate cutting cycle. We're stopping quantitative tightening, and to me, it doesn't matter what Jerome Powell says in next week. It doesn't matter. There's nothing about it matters. So
Does it matter what he says for the rest of the time that he's here? You know what I
really.
mean? I kind of feel like everybody's ready to usher him out very, you know, urgently. Obviously, we got to wait till his time is up. But you know, I can't imagine what the forward-looking crowd is going to be doing in the early part of 2026. By the way, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody is looking forward to a new chair.
100%. Well, let's get right into that then. President Trump calls for Kevin Hassett as potential Fed chairman. Obviously, he will have to pass Congress, but you know, basically we have it. We have the pick here. So we're going to be seeing this guy once a month for about 4 years going forward. And so here's some good news about him, though. Hassett previously served as an advisor to Coinbase's Regulatory and Academic Advisory Council and publicly disclosed a sizable Coinbase equity stake. Under his leadership, head of National Economic Council, that's where he is right now, the White House's Digital Asset Working Group published policy on crypto. So he actually not only worked for Coinbase, but he actually helped, you know, the Trump administration with crypto, and is continuing actually to help Congress until he takes his Fed chairman job with these crypto bills.
Yeah, I think he's the right guy. I do feel like the couple times I have seen him on camera, he does seem kind of like a yes man a bit, right? But I think that's what everybody wants.
We want
right? is a yes man. Obviously, like, you know, that's just from the optics, right? From the outside. I'm sure that, like, you know, he knows the industry and all that great stuff. So looks like we got the guy. I wish we could hit fast forward to May, whenever he can be, you know, he can replace him, right?
Well, that's the beauty about the markets. The markets are already pricing him in, right? Like, as we get closer and closer, people are going to say we're closer and closer to where I need to be. And I do think when he gets in, though, it's going to be you know, buy the rumor, sell the news. I think the markets dump on his arrival because it's already kind of baked in, right? There's nothing, you can't really go any higher at that point. And I do think markets are going to run into this heavily, but I do think it's going to be, you know, sell the rumor, buy the rumor, sell the news, and actually go into the summer very, like, you know, cooling off a bit, right? In that sense. And maybe we start building back up in the fall, and, you know, maybe October, November could be a real blow off top. Maybe we get, you know, insane top in May, local top, and then we kind of have a summer, which we both know summers are terrible in crypto. I mean, this is it's been pretty awful. And then maybe, you know, this time next year, Bitcoin actually has the final hurrah before we start the next cycle, which I think is going to be a left translated cycle, which kind of maybe ends in 2028. I think we deserve potentially 2 years of bullishness.
Yeah, I think that's a little too far out for me right now to think about. I do feel good about 2026. And it's going to be a learning year as well, though. If it starts to play out, you know, like there was an extended debt cycle by a year, it could be a decent, easy kind of, not easy. I don't ever want to use that word again in this industry, but it could be, I guess, a more simple. Whoa, Ryan Boylan with the $50 super chat. He says, "Dinner's on me, guys, tonight. Appreciate all you guys do for all of us. Thank you. Santa Rally is coming, dude. Appreciate you. You know, that means a ton to us, and your support too, man, has been amazing. So we appreciate you for sure. But yeah, so that's kind of how I'm going to play 2026. You know, is you know, one step at a time, but hopefully we do get that you know, easier type of year. I do want to shout out Abstractio. He says he thinks it's a bull trap where we're going through right now. BTC could retest 98 to 108 area, but he thinks that the bear the bear is confirmed. That's from the abstract crew over there. So keep dropping your questions and comments over there as well. Do you agree with that, by the way? Do you agree that this could be a bull trap that we're going through right now?
No. I mean, you're going to tell me a bull trap is from 82 to 89 when we're just at 126 on the 9th of October? No, like there's no way. This was a bear trap, an obvious bear trap. I'm sorry to burst your bubble there. But yeah, I think it's a bear trap. And real quick, I just want to say, I just want to thank Ryan myself, man. Absolutely amazing. Do really appreciate you, man, for sure. And then we got G-Day guys in here. We got Crow is in here as well. Appreciate that, man. And Ryan says, I don't feel that is what it is. Yeah, I think if you're bearish right now, you kind of missed the boat of being bearish, right? I think you had since October 10th to be bearish. I just can't say it. I just can't say it for sure. It's definitely a bear trap. Definitely a bear trap.
Yeah.
Or a buying opportunity for rich people.
I think where people are getting mixed up here, and by the way, 5B KFX, we are live right now actually with the pump stream. It's not a recording, but where I think people are getting mixed up, and the abstract guys too, maybe a little bit here, and this is not a knock or anything, because I'm a data guy. Being a digital marketer for over 10 years, everything we rely on is past data. So I think, seeing that 50 MA, you saw what it did to me whenever that candle, the weekly candle formed underneath the 50 week SMA. I was just like, dude, I think we're in trouble. I think we officially started the bear market. But when I looked over this year, the 12 months that we went through, it was just so unique in the sense of no euphoria, the no euphoria at all. When Bitcoin peaked at 126, maybe a little bit for these institutions, but nothing like we experienced in 2021 or 2017. Yeah. So that made me start to really fall into the extended debt cycle by a year thesis that Raoul Paul has. And again, something I use as a learning lesson is listen to everything he's saying, because the banana zone key phrase is what stuck out in my head and said, we didn't feel no banana zone, but he was calling for that in early 2026.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we both missed that. I think we saw, okay, we're going to get bullish at the end of the year. And, but I think everything's going to come out to being okay. I think this cycle is going to end up being different for sure. I'm not going to say anything about that, but it's going to end up being where crypto is an asset class that is far and beyond anything that we've ever expected. I think it's going to blow expectations away, and not by just price action, but by global adoption as we get that in the next 2 years. I really feel that way. Yeah. But and Coinbase actually came out and they said market conditions could be primed for reversal here in December, as Federal Reserve could cut rates and unlock inflows. So this is huge. I mean, this is Coinbase now who's coming out, and they know Kevin Hassett or Hassel, whatever his name is. And it's just, I don't know, man. I feel like everything's kind of starting to ramp up. I think it's the early days of ramping up here.
Yeah, and you do see some of these comments that are like passive aggressive from CZ and stuff like that, saying, hey, I think he said something like, I could be wrong. When he says something like that, he doesn't really ever say that kind of stuff. But he was saying something like, things to, in the sense of like ramping up, right? Yeah. But to me, a lot of these larger institutions, going back to 2017 too, like I remember they would just throw crazy like projections out for Bitcoin's price. I take those a little different now, because they're, we're getting regulatory, clarity pretty much this year or this administration. But still, I do kind of remember that, those days. So, with the Vanguard offering the Bitcoin ETF or the BlackRock ETF, which is also interesting because they are, the two largest fund managers, but they just want in. And then Bank of America, I can't take the Bank of America one lightly at all. I mean, that's a recommendation to their 4%. Customer base, 4%. That's there on the internet forever, right? And so I have to take that more kind of as it is, right? And then like you said, kind of all these other things kind of going on top of it. And another thing too, I'll say is my mind has never been more open to saying, hey, don't expect the typical kind of situation, right? Because it's been anything but that. So next year could be, a lot of opportunity, and then maybe, bearish, like you said, in the summer, and we'll see how it plays out, right? But there will be opportunity. I'm very confident in that.
Yeah, I think next year's gonna be very similar to 2021. I know it's hard to believe that. I know people are like, get out of here, Shizzy, you're crazy. But I think, starting in January, we could see Ethereum potentially double. I mean, Ethereum doubled in January 2021. And then we saw the craziness, but it wasn't just from the crypto area. It was from TradFi too. And I think we get that again. You got to remember, TradFi, like low cap stocks are just as beaten down as crypto is. Even worse, some of them, right? Because they have budgets and companies, and they're in dire need of a pump as well. So I think we're going to get a resurgence from like the GameStop guys, from crypto, from everywhere that has just missed the rally. Because what happened is you're basically only going to get a rotation now from large caps to small caps to crypto, and just craziness, going nuts. And then I think that, again, I think we do have an insane 5 months of next year. We deserve that. And then potentially, in May, we sell in May and go away, have a very quiet, boring summer, very boring, down to the right, and then start picking it up for the midterm elections in November of next year, and really start pushing it back up. September, October, November being just absolutely insane again. And then, potentially the Democrats winning some of the seats, and then we kind of maybe cool off again for 6 months.
Yeah, and there's always strategy with the midterms, right? And this current administration wants, I would say Trump, just to be, clear here, wants his plan to have a continuation, and he knows how the 4-year administration cycle works. You basically stop everything that has been worked on previously and all this stuff, and so he wants to make sure that the American people probably feel good going into the midterms, right? 100%. And so what does that mean? The economy has to look good. People can't be complaining too much about jobs and money, and so that's why I feel like that Fed chair position is going to be even more of an impact than what we're probably thinking right now. Yeah. Even so, right? So, I think it's exciting to at least have that to look forward to. We have the rest of this month and up and down. So be it. Whatever happens here, I just want a little bit of Santa rally just to have something to feel good about.
I mean, 100%. And I think you're right. You said to look forward to. And that's, we have a lot to look forward to. So there's a lot of reasons to potentially start buying crypto right now. And shout out to my man, Ryan. He said, ask yourself this question. Do you feel like Bitcoin will have a down year? I think not, but I may be wrong. I feel banana zone are coming. And then he finishes off with, dude, 5 months ago, my wallet flashed 63K ETH. Glitch or glimpse of the future. Let's go. I feel it's the latter one, but I haven't been right about a lot. I mean, no one has. No one has. Myself, real quick, says international bank, automakers, manufacturers, and other corporate borrowers just took out 83 billion in loans this week. What? Get ready for another business cycle. Exactly my point. It's not
so that is the one thing. So for the audience that's listening in right now, you're probably like why are you guys feeling 2026 is gonna be a bullish year? And part of this thesis is the fact that the business debt cycle was pushed out a year because of COVID, right? That whole year was kind of a wash in terms of the business cycle. And you can actually see that like on the chart too, because it's I forgot what it's called. It's like the manufacturer something, but it is in the same position as it was in 2019, right? Which was low. Right. And then in 2017, 2021, it was high. So we're kind of low right now. But if you look at 2019, it kind of things started to look better as we went into 2020, obviously, COVID and all that stuff. So you just push that debt cycle out 1 year, then 2026 actually becomes 2021. 2026 actually becomes 2017. And 2026 actually becomes the character, playing the character of the post-halving year. And we'll see if that plays out. But that's a part of that thesis of why 2026 could be bullish.
100%. No, I agree. I agree 1,000,000%. And awesome. Thank you, myself, for your help, dude. Myself, definitely a big part of the show. Really appreciate you. And Mrs. actually Mr. Hanky. He says, it's at Crow is Mr. Hanky. So shout out to Mr. Hanky. Thank you for joining us today, brother. But yeah, Ryan has some amazing comments here too. He's saying a Bitcoin holder here. Our time is coming through. Even keep learning, investing. Yes, and that's the point of our show, right? We're here to you know, we study the markets. We study not just crypto. We study all markets, even macro stuff. I know macro can be very boring, but it's telltale for what is about to happen or what is not going to happen, right? So I think we have to cover it. We have to cover it. But let's kind of get into some crypto stuff here. You do have some pretty big announcements from two the biggest companies in crypto, which is Kalshi and Polymarket. We'll start with Kalshi here. Kalshi actually going to partner with CNN. So CNN will integrate Kalshi's prediction markets across its news coverage, bringing real-time event forecasting to its broadcast. The days of polls are gone, out the window. We will now be looking at Kalshi prediction markets on CNN. This is wild. First off, it's CNN. Second off, it's a crypto company. And third off, again, it's CNN. Like, these are the most, I don't want to say it, but yeah, it's CNN.
Okay, so I see a little bit of a problem coming up. Not the problem that CNN's using it. Well,
Okay.
possibly part of it, but you look at the 2024 election and Polymarket was spot on, maybe within a week before. Maybe I'm a little bit off there. Maybe it was 3 days before, but electoral map to a T. To a T got it right. That kind of, you know, rang some alarms for, you know, the Democratic Party probably more, but let's just say some Republicans, just to be more unbiased with that, right? And they were like, what's going on here? What it did for the public, though, is I think it earned a ton of trust that this platform works for picking the you know, can really guide you in who you think is going to win the election, right? Now, one thing that we all know how Polymarket and Kalshi works is, you know, the more money you put in one side, the higher that percentage looks, right? And I do feel like there was manipulation in parts of that in 2024, right? Up until, like I said, about a week left, maybe like three to 7 days. I can't remember when it really got locked in. But because of that, it's almost kind of like, okay, so the previous polling system, we all know those were malarkey, right? A lot of them were just made up because they were trying to push one way or the other. Now they can do that with money, right? So big donors can push into one side or the other and really start to drive up these percentages. And does it sway people from even going to vote? And I think that's the whole objective, right? But the first time that it really was used, it was spot on. And I think that's where the trouble can kind of come in, is that the trust is there from the public right now, but will it kind of manipulate the 2028 election? You're not going to get rid of manipulation either way. There's always going to be some sort of manipulation in these type of things. I'm curious of what your thoughts are on what I just broke down.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is only going to cause more manipulation. This is not going to ease that whatsoever. It's actually could 10x it, you know, in a sense of, you know, now you're going to see this on CNN and stuff, and then you're going to see these, you know, I don't know,
but they are putting money up for it.
Yeah, but it's you know, and maybe instead of, you know, donating to the campaign, you just donate it to Polymarket to make people think it's headed a different way, right? You know, like, so you could see huge money just piling in on the candidate they want to win. Because if it's 50, if let's say it's showing 51%, people might just try to take the winning bet, right? And then people are like, all right, well, she's already going to win. Maybe I won't go vote because Polymarket already said she won, right? And then it could sway things the other way. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking way too much into it, but
no, I mean, I think you have a good point, and it's also going to be probably, you know, an opportunity for some of these people that bet in big size, right? And say, hey, we'll push it this way, but we really think it's, you know, gonna go this way. And this was like, flip it, like it's 60% one way, and then like a week left. Now you're like, what the heck? I just bought in big because I thought Polymarket is 100% right. That's where I think people are gonna get messed up a bit. Right now, if you're doing sports events, you definitely have a little bit more confidence, I think, in those situations. As we saw this year, though, those can be manipulated as well. But depending on, you know, what the teams are, the fighters are, all that stuff. It's a new way of doing things. Does it change manipulation? Probably not that much, but could be some big opportunities too, because there are people making a lot of money in the predictions markets right now.
Yeah, and it doesn't just stop at politics, right? You can bet on how many times Elmo says the color red in the next Sesame Street episode, right? Like you can bet on pretty much anything. So really interesting there. Ryan actually said something. I wasn't even thinking about this, but he said time to look in for a CNN token, and then he says there is a CNN token on base. That's pretty funny. I'm not buying that. Crypto predictions market, Polymarket, officially begins rolling out US apps. So as of today, you can go over to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, and you can actually download the Polymarket app. And as a US user, you can make bets. I heard in the beginning it's only going to be sports betting at first, and then they're going to start adding more and more in there. But how do you feel, man? Are you going to be downloading the Polymarket app?
I think so. I think it's time for me to get into it, honestly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hype around it right now. Talking about these Fortnite Gen Zers that have made so much money from meme coin trading, and who would have thought, that skill set of being just like really quick with video games and stuff does transition over to meme coin trading for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Now, how can it transition over to Polymarket and predictions markets? I'm not sure, but that's something I definitely want to dive into because I do feel like you have a little bit more control over that, right? Like, sure, you can get swayed one way or the other by the percentages and bets that are being placed, but you're also doing research on the event itself or, these type of things. So, I do feel like with Pump Fund, and this is not a knock at just Pump Fund, but they are the leader in the Coin Launchpad, era, I would say, which is still going on. If you are that skilled at being quick and just those kind of things, when the market's not good, it really just favored the creators of the coins, right? And you're just really good at that. And maybe you are in that 1% like Cupsy and you can trade, but he does have a lot of people that follow him. So I think that's part of it as well. But I do think meme coins are going to have their time to bounce back. And I think they have a good opportunity this month as well. But with the Polymarket thing, that is an interesting thing that I feel like is still, in the early days of opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. And potentially they don't have a coin. So by you downloading the app, potentially you might be getting an airdrop. I'm not saying you are or you're not. I'm just saying it's definitely a possibility. And that's kind of reason why I am downloading this app today. And I will be putting, $100 in there and just kind of doing as many bets as I can, $2 here, $3 here, nothing crazy, but just really just trying to use the app as much as possible. Because who knows, the early day downloaders could actually potentially get a bigger airdrop. So, but who really knows until they roll out a point system and how much points you're earning. But he was actually on CNBC last week, and he said, there's about 1 billion people who check the Polymarket, but there's only 100,000 actual users. Does that concern you at all?
If I'm Polymarket, no, because you can work on making UI better and those things, but I absolutely love that. From a digital marketer perspective, dude, that's so much traffic. Are you kidding me? And it's a resource. They're looking at you as a data resource.
Exactly.
That's money. So there's two ways to make money in kind of like the web 2 world, which, web 3, I think web 3 needs to take some of these, fundamentals from web 2. And I think they are starting to. Polymarket, probably one of them. And there's two ways to make money. And one is being like just a straight sell to consumer, which is e-commerce or a service or something like that. The second one is data aggregation, right? I mean, tons of money for that from Facebook. Robinhood even made tons of money from their partners with data aggregation as well, right? So if I'm Polymarket and I see that 1 billion people are looking at my data for a resource, I'm extremely happy, and I'm able to sell that in my sales pitch to investors 1,000% over. And obviously you want more users, and that will grow as you can kind of make the UI better and make more opportunities for your users. But getting people to just be there, it's a big win.
That doesn't concern you though, that only 0.1% of the people that go there actually place a bet?
No. You know why it doesn't? Because Google wasn't even charging for ads for the first I want to say like 6 years or 7 years that they were in business. Facebook, same thing. And they were just focused on getting users and getting like people to go there. So like they can, boast about traffic and then user accounts, right? So obviously they need to get the user accounts up, but they have the traffic part down, right? So it's about attention. That's what it's about. A good part of it. Obviously, dollars at the end of the day is a big, what's your revenue look like? And Google found that in their ad approach, along with other product suites, other products in their product suite, and then also Facebook as well. They integrated ads, and then now that they have just different type of products that they offer as well.
Yeah, 100%. It definitely makes sense. It did concern me when I first thought about it, but as you break it down, and I definitely get it. I mean, just one ad alone, you can probably get tens of millions of dollars for. So, but real quick before we get into the Bitcoin price action, Ryan has a few comments here. He said, "You want to make money in this weird cycle? Think outside the box. Almost every aspect of your life is going to be on blockchain. There will be so many winners because there will be so many new projects that will be here to stay. Just my thoughts." And he says, "I hear you, my dude. When I see I've gotten an airdrop, I go swap and put 10 cents to each as one. I never which one would skyrocket." Yeah, 100%. You just take some, 0 out of 100 bets, right? Or like take the least person to win the presidential election in 2025 or something. Then he says, example, I got one pure gold coin airdrop to me, so I swapped it, added 10 cents to it. Right now it's worth 120. Yeah, 100%. Sorry, it's so excited. I love it, Ryan, we talk about this all the time. When you are in the chat, when you are spamming the chat, the YouTube numbers are amazing. So it's like the more comments we get, the better it is. So please please do as many as you possibly want to or can. We definitely appreciate it. But let's kind of get into our next segment here, which is the Bitcoin price action and crypto bubbles. I am excited for this because I think Yagobi is going to be very bullish today.
Yeah, we'll be, call it how it is, which is a pretty bullish setup here. But before we get into the Bitcoin price action, help us out, guys, on the YouTube side. Smash that like for us. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're subbed, and then turn your notifications on so you know when we go live. And then on X, let's share this space as much as possible. Make sure you're following us on Pump Fund because our following over there is definitely growing. So we appreciate you guys. Keep dropping those questions in the chat. Same thing with Abstract, man. We appreciate y'all as well. And Kick and Twitch and Zora, which is a new audience as well. We're going to keep adding, guys. If Spark has a streaming service, we're going to be adding them. We want to bring the news and education to the masses, right? That's how you onboard people. But let's take a look here at the Bitcoin price action for today. For the new people here, the price action that we go over is very high level. It's not super in-depth TA or nothing like that. Just get a feel of possibly where Bitcoin wants to go, right? And as you can see here, the MACD is showing that we do have a consistent kind of sell session here. Nothing too aggressive, right? Just kind of a natural pullback, in my opinion, of getting back to that 94K, right? So what I see so far is a healthy pullback from yesterday. It doesn't look like we have a big bleeder or anything like that. We're sitting at 92.6. Right now, but what we do want to see is this start to break down a bit. It probably lasts a couple more hours here, and then we might see some cracks and see this break go from red to white here, and then also the stochastics needs to start inching its way back to the oversold territory or getting above the oversold territory, I should say. So that is what we're looking at right now. No concerns about this pullback just yet. It's more of a natural pullback after getting back to where we should be, really honestly, for December, right? Let's take a look at some support and resistance on the hour chart. And the hour chart is going to give us a 2 to 4 to 6 hour forecast, right? Since we already in the sell pressure session, you can see it just flipped to white here. We could be more on the shorter end of that, maybe 2-3 hours, but we'll see how it responds here. This hour candle is looking pretty good so far. And if we're going back to the data that pulls back to 6 a.m. Central Time, so 7 a.m. Eastern and 4 a.m. Pacific here, you can see the area that we're at right now, the 92.7 is much more of a balanced area. Volume is kind of medium for kind of this whole region that we're in right now. Above that, balanced as well. Below, we are losing a little bit to the resistance here at the 92,600, but nothing too much to worry about, right? Lopsidedness kind of kicks in at the 92.4, where resistance does look stronger. It's not super crazy lopsided, but it does start to get a bit lopsided there. So we do want to stay away from dropping to the lower 92,000 area, but we are in the sell session, right? So we could do that, and it doesn't mean we're going to free fall or anything like that. So just be okay, I think, with a little bit of chop back and forth today, right? We did have that bounce back. We don't want to see, us venturing below 90,000. That would probably not be a good feeling at all, right? Or a good sign. But if it's a quick kind of dip underneath or something and bounce back over, that would be fine. We just want to start to break this down now, right? So we can have that positive momentum to really kick December off the right way, in my opinion. But if you look above this, we start to gain kind of the support momentum back in the $93,000 mark, and then you jump up here at the 93.2, and then this is really where our sweet spot is. If we can work our way back up here, it could look pretty decent, and then we can start to inch back to 94,000, and that's where that sweet spot that I forgot who it was. I think it was Abstractio was talking about from the abstract community there. And so if we can get above 92, sustain there, that would be really good for the rest of today. Let's take a look at the 4 hour here. 4 hour looks to be, we're still in this buy pressure session on the MACD, which is my favorite momentum indicator here, but it's starting to break down a little bit here. That's okay though. These are all 4 hour candles. So, if we can have that, strength on the 1 hour, we play back into 93, maybe 94 for the second half of today leading into tomorrow, we can extend this out, right? So the 4 hour, in my opinion, is in an okay spot, right? It's showing a little bit of cracks right now, but nothing too much to worry about. If we do have a good performing 1 hour time frame, then this could definitely extend out here. So that's kind of what we got. One good thing is that, getting back above this 91.5 level, right? This was everything that we lost on the first, which was that really big fake out. And then getting back above that and starting a trend here is going to be very important, right? Even if we go sideways a bit and then maybe another leg up, we'll have an extension here. So something to keep your eye on. And that's going to really be determined by that shorter time frame. So the rest of today is going to really give us, the answer for the 4 hour chart. If we do go into, close this out and go into sell pressure, I wouldn't be too worried because we are close to the weekend, and the weekend's typically low volume type of situation. We could kind of reset on Sunday, right? So 4 hour gives you almost a 2 to 3 day forecast, by the way, for the people that are interested in knowing, how to look at the 4 hour time frame. So I think we're in a good spot there as well. And if we go to the daily is something I've been watching for a while, just because we haven't been able to build consistent momentum with the MACD indicator on the daily chart, right? You can go all the way back to the 10th of October, where that sell pressure session has really continued. I don't really count this much because this was really a nothing burger in between. So you go back from October 10th all the way until when we flipped and switched on the 27th. So almost 2 full months of a sell pressure session for the MACD on the daily chart, right? So to have this is a breath of fresh air. Now, can we have a continuation here to have some strength showing us, hey, we could get that Santa rally? That's something to keep your eye on. Of course, the smaller time frame is going to determine what this looks like. The 4 hour, if we get an extension of that, this could have, especially if it's an aggressive one, right? We want to get back over 100K to really have this, look really strong and start to have a really strong kind of buy pressure session for the MACD on the daily chart. And then hang out up here for a while, right? So that is Bitcoin for you guys. Looks pretty good for the setup. Tame your emotions, though. Let's get some more data in and feel like, okay, we can really count on that Santa rally. I'm just not there yet, but I am definitely leaning more towards it than I was last week. I'll tell you that. And then let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum really quick before we get into the alt market. Ethereum having, just really following that Bitcoin trajectory, right? But I felt like it was looking even a little bit more strong, right? You can tell that like it wants to come out of this weak sell pressure session here. We were above 3,100 about 5 minutes ago when I was going over the Bitcoin side of things. And so, I do think like Ethereum is ready. I felt like it's been caged up, right? But with kind of how the market has been with a bunch of the like FUD and bad headlines with the MicroStrategy thing. I felt like it's taken everything with it a bit, like, at least like the blue chips and the stronger coins, right? But right now it does seem like, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready. Bitcoin, come on, let's get going. So Ethereum does look pretty strong. Let's take a look at the 4-hour. The thesis is going to be very similar to Bitcoin, though. So everything I said about Bitcoin, I feel like Ethereum just can actually front run a little bit of what I said for Bitcoin there. The 4-hour looks like it's just breaking down a little bit here, and then we go into the daily. The daily is going to be a very similar situation. Now, the daily does look, yeah, it looks pretty similar to Bitcoin as well, right? So it's just really getting into that Santa rally together. And don't be shocked if Bitcoin does find its footing. Let's say it finds it at like 105 next week or something, and then Ethereum says, "Nah, we're going to continue on here," because they have been, suppressed for most of the year up until April, and then had their run up, and then just barely experienced an all-time high briefly this year. So I feel like there's a lot of pent-up demand for Ethereum and the alts here. And then lastly here, guys, I know I've been talking a lot here, but going into the alts, you can see that, it looks like this is the top 200. So let me pull up the top 100s, which is going to be the blue chips and most of the majors here. Come on, crypto bubbles. Let me refresh that there. I feel like my browser does this to me all the time here. Bear with me, guys, as it's pulling up.
At this point,
I know, right?
Yeah,
There was a.
Here we go.
Okay, and it says list is empty.
Okay.
List is empty.
Well,
why is list?
What? It
List
says
is
your
em-
favorites list is empty.
There we go. There we go.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know why I switched over to that, but all right, I will get into BTC dominance in a second, abstract.io. But taking a look here at the top 100 looks better than what I just saw in the top 200. So that's a good sign. You got to kind of start from the top down with this risk curve approach. So a couple things here. This is definitely interesting. Bitcoin Cash, right? You see up 11% there. You got Hyperliquid bouncing back about 4%. Doge up 3.1%. Aster up 4.4% there. Chainlink up 8.4%. So the big names have really bounced back pretty decent. Looking at the memes here, Sheep up about 9%, Pepe 6.5%. Some other utility stuff, Virtuals up 5%. ICP though pulled back 4.4% there. Meme Core pulling back 4.7%. Quant pulling back 3.6% there. So for the most part, I would say it's about a 65, 35, 70, 30% green versus red. So decent day for the alts even. And then you look at the top 200, it does get a little tiny bit more red here, but some stuff that's sticking out here is Falcon Finance up 12%. You see, Bcoin, which is a meme coin on BSC, up 18.4%. Brett up 9%. Fartcoin pulling back. I don't like that. It's pulled back 8% here, so it's kind of a little bit lower than we saw yesterday. And one thing that we have determined is Fartcoin really does give a sentiment feel of the trenches, right? Yep. And I was telling you, Shizzy, pre-show that the trenches feel like it's taking a gut punch today. Yeah. About a day and a half, right? But I do think that is more trying to figure out where Bitcoin is going to go. So that is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the alts for you. One last thing I do want to see just really quick for abstract.io right here is the dominance chart. Let's take a look at that. If you're looking at the dominance chart here, Bitcoin did look like it was uptrending here, right? It's uptrending, but then we got the daily candle that is red right here, right? So this is an interesting candle here, especially with Bitcoin, looking decently strong. Some of these alts look like they want to catch up here a bit, right? But when I say the trenches, I'm talking about one side of the spectrum of the risk curve. Bitcoin's on the other side. So probably this dominance being red is more of Ethereum, Solana, the majors, and some of those strong mid caps. But yeah, that's what we got, guys. Hopefully that helps you out and gives you a little bit of a insight of where the market is.
Yeah, and real quick, just an update on the DXY. You guys, if you guys pay attention to the show, you guys know that is my #1 chart I'm looking at here. And look at the DXY right now. We were up at 90, almost 100, and now it's just down. And this trend is back now. So we are back still in this downward trend.
Are we on
here.
The borderline?
No,
of where that.
we got ways to go. We got ways to go. So the borderline down here is about 96, but we are down $2. Right, in the sense of dollar, but about $1.10, and we just got to go $2 more down.
Gotcha.
So, and if you guys don't know, this is something that I truly believe will dictate the cycle here. And I've been following this chart for a long time. This is the DXY. This is the dollar index. This is a basket of goods that basically represent the dollar, right? And right now, actually, let me go into the weekly chart. That's better to kind of see. And every single time we got below this line, we saw an alt season. This was the 2017, 2018 alt season. This was the 2020, 2021 alt season, right? Same thing here. I think we need to go down here and get into the 94 range, and this will be our alt season right here. I do think this happens very, very soon, but we need the DXY to drop below 96. And with the money printer back, hopefully soon, we could see this really, really soon. I mean, you might see this drop off a cliff here, very similar to what we've seen over here. How it just had that one up jump, boom, and same thing over here, boom. We might actually see that right now, and it might have already started, right? It might have already started back here.
That typically starts to happen in the springtime in those last two situations, right?
Well, it really started when it passed this line. Let me get the exact date for you. It really started July 2020. Okay. So actually that 6 months before Bitcoin really started to move.
Okay, what about the previous one, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. July 2017. As you know, 6 months later is when Bitcoin topped.
I'm curious to see, like, you know, obviously we got some time, but to see when that's going to occur. You know,
I think January, and then 6 months later, Bitcoin tops.
It would be, you know, which one doesn't belong type of situation, because you had July, January, but I'm open-minded to
business cycle got pushed back though.
Well, yeah, I mean, just everything is not normal.
Yeah,
this year.
Yeah, 100%. Yep, for sure. All right, let's get in today's roll call. We do a thing on the show called First to First, where we take the first comment of the day on YouTube and we track it. And right now we got the great Tim Baker, AOD Art. Congratulations to you, my friend. Really, really appreciate you and everything you've done for the show, man. Really awesome. Followed by WebDro. WebDro was right there a few minutes later. Shout out to WebDro. Hydro Sapien, my guy. ASAP Benji, the legend, the Billy Cat himself. Bitcoin is truth every single day, man. Really appreciate you guys. K99, it's been a while, man. Really appreciate you being here. Satoshi Nakamoto lives on Ordinal. Shout out to Satoshi. Vader Time Runner is here. Shout out to Vader Time. Blazing Bandit, otherwise known as Ryan. I really appreciate you today, man. Really amazing, especially with this super chat. Absolutely awesome. And then we have Crow, which is our guy, Mr. Hanky, the Christmas poo. Shout out to Mr. Hanky. Ryan again. We got the great Mice Elf is here. Let's see who else is here today. We got Stan is here. Shout out to Stan. Monad. We didn't get in your comments, Stan, because we're going to be covering Monad here in the second hour here. So, but definitely going to be covering that. Shout out to Ryan again. He says projects will be here to stay. Just my thoughts, 100%. A lot of comments from my guy Ryan. He says sorry, too excited. Well, it's an amazing channel. Appreciate you guys. So should YouTube and everyone. Appreciate. Yo, Ryan's amazing. Stan says, in the channel's opinion, is Monad a viable ETH competitor? Any Monad building that should be noticed? No.
I think we gotta stay away from like trying to. I think for most things, trying to. If I want Monad to succeed, I don't want to put it up in that sentence. I don't want to say Monad is the ETH killer. You got to get away from that. Let Monad be what Monad is. Like, let them be good at what they can be good at, and they're very fast from a tech stack standpoint. But we realize in this industry, it's not about tech. It's not all about tech. The only time it's about tech is whenever you're building with Bitcoin, because the friction is so bad. Yeah. But even so, in 2023, like, you had multiple coins on Bitcoin go to $1 billion market cap that were the most friction coin. So it's about marketing. It's about who's getting behind it and where the liquidity flows, right? So Monad can create its own, carve out its own, like, we're good at this, we're, known for this, but you got to get away from, it's going to replace Ethereum and it's going to do these. There's too much money invested in Ethereum for that to happen. It's just not.
100%.
It's not a good strategy.
Not at all. No, I completely agree. Completely agree. And I think, you know, when people try to say Sui's a Solana killer, it's not. It doesn't have anywhere near the amount of people on it. And I think what Sui is to Solana, I think Monad will be to Ethereum. I don't think it's a viable competitor, but I think it's a nice change of pace for anybody who wants to go explore. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, and they have built out kind of their branding with the purple and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
you know, and we haven't even really gotten strong into like IP eras. And I know that a lot of chains do CCO stuff, but the future is still yet to be determined on how these chains are going to individually succeed.
Couldn't agree more, for sure. Ryan said, no one said generational wealth would be easy. Just keep learning, applying. We will all get there. Have faith you're in the right place. And I think that's the biggest thing. Having faith that you're in the right time, in the right place is bigger than anything else, right? Being here now is absolutely what's going to be that changes your life. People that lived in 2019, they hated their lives. I hear people all the time say 2019 was the worst year in crypto. Well, 2025 was my worst year in crypto. So I feel that, but then you saw what happened in 2020. You saw what happened in 2021. I do think we get that potentially in 2026.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And a prime example of what you just said was, you know, we interviewed an individual that was from the block size wars, and he has a lot of history in you know, entities that are in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And he reminded us, without even prompting him to, that, hey, look, what you guys are building here is going to be very valuable in the future. And it's so, like, you might need to hear it from somebody. You might need just to get that, you know, positive affirmation or whatever. But your gut and your instinct is what brought you here, right? So none of this is financial advice, but for me, I would like to think that my gut and my instinct are on my team and wants me to win, right? So you just got to, you know, continue to push forward.
100%, 100%. Educational finance is going to be a big thing. I truly believe that, especially when everyone is, you know, their jobs are taken by AI. I don't mean to say that to be an a-hole, but, like, you know, I think you're going to see 90% of supervisors get laid off here in the next 2 years because AI is just a better supervisor than they are. And, you know, but if we can educate those people to take the wealth that they've accumulated over time and build on that, I mean, I think we can change lives here, especially being on-chain revolution and teaching people how to come on chain and do things like that. So, Blazing Bandit says so many coins are coming and getting ready to run. 100%. Book of Bitcoin, Bitgold based Bitcoin. What do you got going here? I said, I'm ready, guys. I know you're ready, right? I appreciate you. Stan says Agent Hustle. I guess he wanted you to do some TA on it. But Agent Hustle is on a runner here. I can do it real quickly. So the chart, if you zoom out, that's one chart you don't want to zoom out on. So we're going to zoom in on Agent Hustle here because the last week and a half have been absolutely amazing. It did break its downtrend here. You did have the lull here, and I am on the weekly. So if you did buy 3 weeks ago, you're very happy today because you're up 2x. But I think this is a lot of room to run. A lot of room to run, man. A lot of room to run. We'll see.
Yeah, a lot of room to run, but more than that, the product itself. I mean, let's be honest, like the agentic products have taken a backseat a bit to, you know, what is going to be like the meta, right? But whenever you keep working on the product and you keep adding more features to it, it becomes more about the meta. Bigger than the meta, actually, right? And I feel like that's where Hustle's getting into right now, integrated on multiple chains that you wouldn't even think, you know, Hedera, Solana, BSC. So they cover EVM, they cover a DAG chain, which is EVM compatible. They cover an SLM? No, SVM chain in Solana. So those are, you know, the only chain that they haven't really integrated yet is the UTXO tech stack, and maybe some other unique ones that are kind of, you know, offshoot, one off here, one off there. But that's not going to be a problem for them because they have all the experience in the world for Bitcoin, you know, with Bitcoin, right? So they continually build into this product that's going to be, in my opinion, a one-stop shop wallet UI. You build for convenience, you will get users. And so that's how I view Hustle. And then everything else that they got going on in the ecosystem, which is nuts.
Yeah, 100%. And if Arch can be what Arch says they're going to be, if they're able to like put that product out, I mean, it's such an easy thing for Agent Hustle, right? Because now you already have SVM. It's seriously just the code base. And if you're buying everything the very normal way, I think, you know, Bitcoin could easily be allocated through Arch, but through Hustle as well. So we'll see. Myself says balancing a portfolio across cash, risk-off assets, and risk-on assets is a lifelong tuning process. Yeah, 100%, dude. Managing a portfolio is one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life because I suck at it. Not just kidding. Agent, he's Blazing Bandit says Agent Algo, new BTC, BNB on base, Bitcoin Classic, Sky, Degens. What's up? Ready for launch? He said I agree, and I don't cast with risk-off assets.
He meant mess.
Gotcha. Mess with risk off. He said, dude, you're getting me even more pumped. Ha, freaking love it. Billy Cat Holder here. Oh, we got a Billy Cat Holder. Shout out to Ryan. I didn't know he held Billy or the ordinal itself. He said, love the channel. Always great. You guys are helping change life. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, my friend. The great Mike Bennett here says, Shiba Inu, what up? I just got out. He just got out of Shiba Inu. Did Mike sell the bottom of Shiba Inu?
Well, it depends on when he got in, right? Because if he's an old 2021 whale, then he's still looking pretty nice. 100%. But yeah.
And Ryan says, think about this. The stock market will be a small piece of the crypto market. This is beyond big. You are changing lives here for the better. Keep me coming back. Yes, sir. 100%. And eventually the stock market will just be crypto coins running on a blockchain one day. So
they don't want to hear that.
100%. But that is your roll call for today. Appreciate every single one of you guys, man, each and every day. Absolutely awesome. All right, got some more stuff here. Let's go back up. Okay, so according to DeFiLlama, the supply of PayPal stablecoin PYUSD, my personal favorite stablecoin because I go in Venmo and that's my on and off ramp right now. I love it. Has surged rapidly, rising from a market cap of 1.2 billion in September to 3.8 billion currently. You are seeing it become number 6 above World Liberty Fi, behind DAI and Sky Dollar. I think Sky Dollar and DAI are the same thing. But here's the chart here. You have Tether number 1, USDC number 2, Athena number 3, Sky Dollar and DAI. I think these are the same thing because I think Sky is now the rebrand of MakerDAO. So I think this is kind of the same thing together. And then you have PayPal sitting there, PYUSD ahead of
quietly
Falcon, very quietly coming online here. And PayPal has been building since 2022, though. People don't understand that. They are using Ethereum, Solana, Cardano. I didn't know they were on Cardano. That's crazy. Flow, yeah, Ethereum's 100%. And Solana and Ethereum make up probably like 99%.
Are they?
And this. Yeah, Ethereum was the only chain for the longest time. They just added Solana recently, but the liquidity pool isn't there. So when I swap, let's say ETH into PYUSD, it's actually gotten a lot better. When I did it about 3 months ago, I was getting a pretty nasty, whatever that's called,
right?
Like slippage. So when I was trading like $100, I would get like 95, which sucks, right? When you do large sums of money. But now it's like I'm getting like 98. So it's still there. I'm hoping that it gets stronger when it comes to the ETH liquidity pool there, but that is the cheapest way. So now it's about $2 per 100 instead of 5. So it's definitely gotten better in the ETH side. I've tried to use Solana. The slippage was just too bad, so I ended up just going back to ETH. But yeah, so that's what I need. I need more liquidity happening with PYUSD, so I'm going to pay these big slippage fees.
Well, I'm shocked that they added support for Cardano. Right. I mean,
yeah, me too.
Cardano needs a stable coin, though. You know, they need that infrastructure. So maybe they're looking at it as an opportunity. But one thing about PayPal is they're not in a rush. They have all the money in the world, number one. Well, I haven't checked their balance books lately or anything, but domination wise, they've dominated for so long. And so, I'm pretty sure they have a very strong plan that they're they're okay like being in the position they are now because they have a long-term goal.
Yeah, 100%. Moving along here, World Liberty Financial intends to launch its RWA asset product in January of 2026. So we do have a date now, and their first real estate that they're going to be adding to, you know, their chain or their product here, or chains, because it's going to be on multiple chains, is going to be Donald Trump's properties. So potentially Mar-a-Lago could be digitalized this coming January. We're going to see some of their other properties, because we do know that Donald Trump, his number one asset was real estate. So he does hold a lot of real estate, and potentially we might see all of that real estate actually be tokenized in January. Could that be something that makes crypto go nuts?
Yes, but the clarity needs to come even more so with that kind of stuff. How does ownership get transitioned? You know, how do you transfer ownership to a clear, like we know in the digital asset world, like NFT, but you know, what does it look like from the real world? Like, how is that handled in the court systems? You know, how do you prove this and that and the other, which they know that has to be there. So I expect that to roll out pretty quickly, especially if they're going to start digitizing stuff already, right? But yeah, I mean, it's going to bring value to the digital asset space for sure, especially if it catches on. You know, people are going to be able to take stablecoin loans against NFTs that represent deeds, right? That are, you know, for property. So it's going to be an interesting year if that really kicks off and it really gets mixed into the dynamics of our space.
Yeah. So I looked into this a little bit too, because I figured you're going to ask that. So basically how it's going to work in the beginning is let's just say I'm selling you my property, right? It's in digital asset form. We both have to go down and sit at the table just like we normally would, file the paperwork.
Title company.
And I send you, the title company. Then I send you the asset. Title company will make sure, you know, the final thing won't be written down until that asset is actually transferred. So we can't officially sign that paper until the asset is I sign, you sign, and then the title company can't sign until the asset is actually transferred.
So basically, it's an additional step now. So you have you have paperwork, and then now you have the digital asset side of things, which I guess it can be a representation of. I mean, I don't know.
But now I can lend you that property, right? Like we don't need to, like if you know what I mean, like I can rent this out. I can do lots of things with it. You holding that NFT gets you access to everything that comes with that property, right? In the sense of, you know, or something like that. I don't know.
Like a rental property or something to where you get NFT. That's just a rental NFT. Yeah. You can scan it to get in the door. I don't know.
I don't know either. We'll see. Yeah. Mike Bennett says, missed you. Love me some Shizzy and Yagobi. Shout out to you, my friend. I really appreciate that.
We missed you too, Mike.
Out of prison. Oh my God.
Prison Mike.
Sorry, bro.
Prison Mike.
Prison Mike. Shout out to Prison Mike. Dude, you got to change your tag now, bro. Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Ryan Bennett says, yes, MakerDAO is now Sky. Yeah, I gotta look more into. I've been so out of the DeFi area when it comes to Ethereum, but yeah, MakerDAO is now Sky, so they're still in the process of that transition. And he said, Sol B, homie, Solana on base. Yeah, shout out to you, man. All right, let's jump into our next thing here. BNB, speaking of RWA stuff, BNB is actually leading the way. Remember we were talking this morning and I told you that I think Aptos was leading the way? I was wrong. So take a look at this chart, bro. You have BNB actually number one when it comes to RWA count, not the value though. So Aptos has about a little under $1 billion. BNB has 1.6. Provenance has one RWA count, but it's worth Provenance. Sorry, but it's worth 14 billion. What is Provenance? And how do they have one asset that's worth $14 billion?
Yeah, I don't know what Provenance as a business entity is, what it is, but that word was heavily used in the ordinal era of 2023. Remember,
Provenance.
It's like the parent inscription has provenance over the child inscription. Blah, blah, blah.
All end up being bullshit, but it's all good. You know, but okay, so now I get it now. So it's 30-day. So they're up 100% on the 30-day. That's what this is. I didn't realize this thing was hit. So yeah, that's what it is. So the BNB is not number one. They're number one in the last 30 days, up 100%, while everything else is kind of bleeding out a little bit. And then you see stuff like Solana has 763 million. ZK Sync 2.3 billion. The hell are they doing over there? This is really interesting. I'm going to dig more into this and kind of come back to you guys and kind of figure out
Where's
what these
Ondo?
assets are actually holding. So Ondo isn't a chain. It's so Ondo's right now they're using multiple chains. So a lot of
Okay.
this that will be
So it's like a
Ondo's creating
centralized.
their chain.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right.
They
They're in the
use other
process.
chains underneath it. Yeah, they're in the process of creating their chain, but eventually, I think BNB some of this stuff, and I think Solana some of this stuff is actually Ondo stuff, and Ethereum probably as well. So we'll see actually how many Ondo actually has though. So, but yeah, man. Let's move along here. What the hell happened over here? Hold on 1 second. Our YouTube went down for whatever reason. Okay, we're good. All right. So Zcash is down over 40% in the last week. Does that concern you at all? Is this something that we should potentially be concerned about here? Zcash had the most amazing run, and it looks like the most disappointing downfall here.
I mean, it seems like the rumors are true that a lot of these KOLs, that the larger ones, and probably some ticked off BTC maxis because of the upgrade, to the op return limit size, decided, hey, let's pump this privacy coin, and a lot of these KOLs supposedly lost a lot of money on October 10th. So this was a way to make it back. I didn't buy into this. But if I did, man, like there's no, I don't think many people could be mad about this, first of all, because you want to call it a pump and dump. Sure. You had ample enough time to get out. Unless you you top blasted that.
Yeah.
Which I think you're absolutely nuts. If you top blasted this at like, $700, especially with how the market had been, right? Like overall.
Yeah.
But like, most people that have any experience in this space, especially this year, probably took profit at like $500, $600, maybe $700 if you can time the top. That's really hard. But even if you it depends on where they got in for the most part. Now, it does look like a pump and dump, though. I mean, it does.
It really does.
Pretty much looks like a pump and dump there.
By the maxis, actually, the Bitcoin maxis pumped and dumped on you. They're not as good as they say they are, guys. But yeah. Okay, so Binance has introduced Binance Junior, a parent-controlled crypto savings account for kids and teens. What do you think about Binance giving people a place where you can create an account for your kid? You control it, though, and you can add assets weekly, daily, every 10 minutes. You can add whatever you want. You can do a full DCA strategy, fully automate it and that money comes out of your account into your child's account. Let's just say, every Friday you want to put $50 in that account. You can automate it, and then that account will just buy Bitcoin, and you can set it to what cryptocurrency you would like it to buy, and it will use the parent company, which is Binance, to do those transactions.
I might sign up for it because I feel like CZ or Binance. Binance obviously different leadership than CZ, but you and I both agree that he probably has his hands in the cookie jar a ton. But they're gonna roll out a product that has safeguards if it's for this, because the worst thing possible would be like rolling out a product that like you're trying to teach your kids on how to gain wealth through crypto and it all goes to zero, and then it's like I'm never touching crypto again, right? But that's what I expect from this product. I expect it to have safeguards and, really try to educate and stuff like that. We'll see what happens, because if this product goes to zero, I might leave crypto.
Well, they're gonna have you buy Bitcoin, right? They're gonna advise you to get Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, right? Some of the I can't imagine they're gonna let you put, I don't know, peanut in these accounts, right? You know what I mean? Maybe Shiba Inu, maybe Doge.
Well, maybe they develop some products though that are specifically for this, right? Like kind of like
index
and
funds.
stuff. Yeah, right. So which would be pretty cool. So I might just open an account just to see what they offer, right? Just to kind of see, and who knows, right? So
for sure. All right, next thing here, Jeff from Merlin Chain had a tweet yesterday. Absolutely amazing when you actually take a step back. He said 45% APR. Who staked 6 months ago? So if you staked Merlin back in, I want to say early June, late May, it was Merlin token was around 10 cents. Today it's around 33, 34 cents. 45% APR. So not only did you 3x your stake, but you got 45% on that. So you potentially, and then all those tokens in there as well, as 45% yield on them. So I don't know. I know it's hard to believe in anything in this cycle, but sometimes it pays off. Shout out to Jeff from Merlin Chain. One of the few areas where you could have made money during this last 6 months.
Yeah, and it's the good old DeFi strategy, right? It's staking in something that you believe in and earning from that. So yeah, shout out to him and his team. They've really, managed to not only survive through the hardest year, in my opinion, of a supposed post-halving bullish year, and is actually, thriving. Whenever you see like the price is holding strong, and people say prices and everything. I agree with some of that, but people do look at that, and so I'm excited to see what the future holds in terms of these other opportunities with BTC-Fi.
Yeah, 100%. I think Jeff's going to be one of the leaders when it comes to Bitcoin finance. I think he already is, and I think he will continue to be that because he's that's one of the few places where you can actually make money right now. You stake your Merlin, which is going up 3x. But not just that, you're earning 45% APY. I mean, that's the dream of everyone who puts, who invests money and then stakes it, right? That's the dream come true. And 6 months later, not only will my asset be 3 times bigger than what it is now, but I'll also get 45% APR. I mean, come on. Yeah, that's insanity. That's insanity. You just don't see that anywhere. Let's move along though. So Gainsey, actually, dude, he put out a video. I'm gonna play it real quick. Well, this is a clip from his video, but it got my feels, bro, because I felt it. I kind of want to play it.
Like his last 10 videos seem depressing.
I mean, crypto market has been depressing, bro.
Yeah, true, true.
All right, here it goes.
Like the topic of max pain. There is no more max pain. Max pain isn't up or down or sideways. We're all fucking broke. Every direction is max pain. Wherever price goes, max pain. There's simply, and maybe that's why price will trend soon. I don't fucking know. It doesn't fucking matter. Everyone's fucking poor now. Price action for the last, 6 to 9 months has been so trash that everyone's gone fucking broke in one way or another. Now it's a matter of like, Ethereum can run and it won't matter. People don't have enough money to go into it. People literally don't have enough money to go into the majors. So everyone's going to pile into like low cap, low liquidity shit. Maybe that is max pain.
So what's your definition of max pain?
But did I die? No, that's kind of what I got from that. Yeah, I mean, he has a lot of good points there, right? And I would say that's probably the epitome of the feelings that we mostly all feel right now, right? Even from someone that's made millions of dollars like him. But I feel like he's so melancholy, like with his cigarette, like, he's just like, he always does these type of videos. But good points for sure. And it is true because we feel that.
Yes,
like, doesn't matter where price goes, max pain. But there has to be a certain time where that curbs and turns around. And we're hoping that's sooner than later, right? So we'll see.
Yeah, and Gainsey, I think, was one of those guys who got hit hard by 1010. And I think those guys are going to feel it the most. I mean, don't get me wrong, we've lost tons of money in these markets just trying to make money. And but the people who lost it on like 4x leverage because their stop loss didn't get hit and they got liquidated on hundreds of thousands of dollars. Imagine them; they could have bought ETH as it's going up, and the momentum comes back, and they don't have the money no more. So I think that's kind of where he's coming from in that sense. And I just felt this. Like I don't normally take his stuff. I like Gainsey. I like Rasmer as well, and I think these guys are really knowledgeable and they show a lot of emotion during their videos, and that's one thing I really like. I really like when you have an emotional YouTuber or emotional you know, person to creating content, because that really kind of you kind of sense like you can trust that person, because they're not going. I just don't think they're as misleading as some of the people who don't show emotion when they do their channel, right? When me and Yagobi yell at each other, it's because we really feel it at that time, like during the show, right? And it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like if you don't show emotion, you're just not.
You're not showing. You're not letting yourself be vulnerable
real.
ever.
Exactly. So I felt like that was his moment, but it also might be a bottom signal. Right, that's another thing I got from that. Was that the Gainsy bottom signal that everyone?
I hope so. I hope so. I mean, when he was like saying, "Well, maybe that's why price would trend," I kind of like that when he said that, right? So he's like, so that's where maybe it could be, you know, bottom signal kind of indicator there. In your wallet, sorry. Ryan Boylan commented, "In your wallet, sorry." But in his comments. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Damn, I kind of lost my train of thought.
My bad.
We're talking about
Gainsy. It's all good. In the bottom signal.
It's all good. We'll move along. A new zero-knowledge Secret Santa protocol for Ethereum enables fully private, trustless, on-chain gift exchange using ZK proofs. How does it work? ZK Secret Santa uses commitment proofs and relayers, so everyone is matched privately. You send a gift with the proof through a relayer, keeping your address hidden. How do you can now send gifts? I think this will be used. I feel like it'd be used more for regular, but this is kind of like the first rollout.
But it's cool that use it for Secret Santa too, though.
You could.
But then, like, I guess you can never. You can maybe never know who your Secret Santa is, though. Like, they have to admit it. So,
yep. So if I don't know, Vitalik wanted to send me a full Ethereum for Christmas, I mean, I wouldn't know it was him.
Or maybe a full Bitcoin. I'll take a wrapped Bitcoin.
Well, this is you get zero knowledge. Yeah.
Wrapped Bitcoin.
You could do a WBTC. No, 100%. I didn't think about that. Or an MBTC for sure. But I thought this was cool, especially for our title today, which is Santa Claus Rally. But you can now send Ethereum and USDC and stuff anonymously using ZK proofs over there. All right. Before I'll get into a little bit more of the comments here, he said, "What's your take on XPL Plasma?" I personally love it. I think it is the perfect price action. I feel like if you buy, a couple $100 of it today and hold it till next May, I think you're going to 10, 20, maybe 30x it. But that's just my opinion. And you have any opinion on XPL?
I'm bullish about it because of Tether and
100%.
Going back to like the FUDing and stuff. What happened to the Tether news? Everyone was like, Tether's about to collapse, blah, blah, blah. All gone now. Those headlines are gone, right? So I will never question Tether, because every time that people will try to put FUD out about them, it goes away. So that is the reason why I think XPL has
put that in the news, though, for a reason. Right? I didn't put that in news because they're holding 70% of the value of Tether in liquid assets. So if you wanted to run over and everyone at the same exact time wanted to cash in their USDT for the dollar, right? They didn't have enough, but then they have like another 100% in Bitcoin. They could just sell. Bitcoin's a liquid asset. People don't understand that. They could sell that Bitcoin in 5 minutes, 10 minutes while everyone's processing their chain stuff, and then have the USDT, the dollars available, right? So they have, and then they have real estate, and then they have gold, and then they have so many assets backing this. But people were just saying that, they only have 70%, but they're not trying to be a US. Banks only have 10%, right? So they're trying to they're doing their own thing. They don't need to fill anyone's requirements.
Yeah, and this happens every year. Like someone tries to take a stab at them and it just doesn't work. And also, what's their allocation of XPL? I wonder what type of allocation. Like
it's a foundation.
I would think that they.
So it's not technically Tether. The XPL Foundation controls the
well, we know how crypto works, though. It's probably some sort of layers, right? So
100%.
That's what makes me think that they want that value of that to continually go up as well, right? So I mean, I don't know. That's obviously something that I'm speculating on. So, but we'll see.
Yep. All right, let's get into the next thing, which is news from the trenches.
News.
I've actually been dabbling in the trenches, which is unlike me for sure. But I've been digging in to obviously what is happening on Bitcoin, and that is what is going on right now with Luminex, and you have UTXO.fun, you have SatGo, and stuff like that. So we had a pullback recently on a lot of the major coins here, which is the number one coin, down to 1.2 million. Are you worried that the leader now is about 70% down from its all-time high?
I'm not, because I think this is going to be all okay. So two ways this could happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say that we go into a Santa rally. Bitcoin finds a floor around 105, 110, something, maybe a different price. I'm using that as an example. And then we start to see us get into a little bit more risk on. Santa rally happens. Some of these leaders here will probably benefit from that. Right.
Yeah.
So that's one way. Second way would be we don't get like a great Santa rally. And this ecosystem is just kind of like the beginning of Odin, to where like some of these leaders are fluctuating between 800K to 2 million, 3 million. And you fast forward 3-4 months, they do a good job marketing to the east, and the leaders are completely flipped. Right? There's new leaders, or one of the leaders and something like so. Two directions it could go, in my opinion. And I'm hoping for that first one. And if that's the case, then I'm not worried about the drawback right now, because I account that to, or direct that towards focusing on Bitcoin, where Bitcoin's going to go and that type of thing, because all the trenches are kind of hurting right now.
Yeah, no, I feel that for sure. There was some good stuff that happened yesterday. We did have a runner from the SatGo wallet there, Asti, which is amazing website. It came out really strong. Whoever, I'm not gonna say point fingers at who created this, but whoever was behind it did a really good job of getting all right. I mean, you had plenty of time. You had 3 weeks, right? So someone created a website, got everything ready for it, launched the coin. This thing ran up to $1 million in less than 24 hours, and now came back down about 50% from its all-time high. Do you think that this thing could still run? Do you think ASTI stands for asterisk, the same symbol as the logo for Sat? I think it's the Sat chain, right? Spark. Yeah, the Spark chain. Sorry. Ugh. But yeah, so do you think ASTI can be the leader here? Do you think ASTI could pass soon?
I do think it can. I think it has the best vibe of all of the new tokens that came out here. And the reason why I say that is you got to go to the website to understand what I'm saying. When you go to the website, there's like this music playing. Obviously, there's this female character, that is created through AI. Like the graphics are insane. There's like this really interesting kind of theme behind her. She's obviously like a pretty girl or whatever, the kind of the anime a little bit style, but also there's little gambling things on there. I don't know if that actually becomes something to where you connect your wallet to it, but it looks like you could possibly win ASTI tokens in the future. Also, you can kind of do like a PFP thing with it. I do think like if they add like a usable product, whether it's those gambling spinning things or the flip coin that they already have on there, and they actually turn those into usable, or some sort of usable thing, then ASTI, in my opinion, is destined for like a higher market cap, right? But I'm not saying, not financial advice at all to buy this token or anything, but check out the website, because you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of vibe. Now, Soon is something that has been leading this market. The problem with Flashnet and Spark is the two previous attempts, but now it's been smooth, so rock solid ever since the relaunch. So I think they're good now. But Soon did kind of hurt some of the momentum. But Soon seems to be the one that still has that liquidity, but it's drawn back a lot. We're talking about it was 3.4 million yesterday or the day before. It's at 1.2. So everything's kind of drawn out here. But it's also happened in Monad. It's also happening in Solana. And it's kind of like, okay, Bitcoin, where do you want to head? Go ahead and do your thing, so we can start to realize, do we have time for a Santa rally to go down to the middle risk, to the risk on environments? Because that's what happens when Bitcoin has been hurting and then it bounces back and it starts to run. Trenches don't run right away. They need Bitcoin to show strength and then settle, and then trenches have their time to to have that liquidity flow of profit taking going into those.
100%. Do you think it's safe to say that ASTI and Soon are the only viable investments here? Not investment advice whatsoever.
Yeah, so they're the two strongest, obviously. You could see some comebacks happen, with possibly I think it's well, Buttcoin was one that I felt like some of the guys from maybe some of the outside ecosystems kind of came together and really got that coin to like 800K and looked pretty strong. But something like, Beta Cat, maybe, but it's like as time goes on, it's going to be harder and harder for that to come back. Yeah, it's taking a huge hit. It's at 91K. And then you have stuff like Dragon Coin that's at 47K. I mean, this was at like 400,000 at one point. And then you have the Yes Coin that's at 15,000, and that had like a big kind of I guess like momentum while it was bonding. But the stalling kind of really did some damage. But the team behind Spark and Flashnet and these others, they have resources. Will they use the resources? Will they feel like the resources are necessary? Is it the right time for that? That's a question, because I don't think they're just going to sit on their hands and say, okay, well, no momentum, we're done. I don't think they went through all that for that.
Well, I think so. I think they're going to start really putting their time and energy to DeFi products, right? When DeFi, I don't think they're going to, launch pads are out there, they're available, but I think you're going to see a lot of tweets coming from the Flashnet, from, Lightspark, from David Marcus, Ethan Marcus, and stuff like that, kind of promoting some of these new projects that come. And I think you said it earlier, you were talking about predictions market. And at first I was like, no, why do a prediction market on Bitcoin? Well, then, it does allow people to take their Bitcoin, and maybe the prediction market is based in Bitcoin instead of USDC, right? So Bitcoiners have their own version of that on the Lightning Network, technically, right? It can be sold as on the Lightning Network, but in the sense it's on Spark. And you're right. I mean, having a Bitcoin prediction market could be something big. And on top of that, Bitcoin leverage trading markets where everything is in Bitcoin. That's one thing that I thought about later after our conversation. I was like, if they do everything in Bitcoin, that'll separate themselves from everything else, which would make them different. And it would bring some of these maybe ancient Bitcoin whales who want to play a little bit.
Well, the thing is, it would be like more advanced than the Cardano ecosystem, in my opinion, right? Because which has had a huge, head start. Well, it depends on how you look at the head start, right? Because people have been building on Lightning forever, but not for this style.
No.
So imagine you can do all these things that you can do on Solana, and you can do them on this Bitcoin layer 2, which you can also do on, a layer 2 like Merlin as well. They're doing the bit, what's it called? The bit VM. So, I think it's just going to be a different category of that, but both of them are layer 2s, right? But this with Spark, it's kind of like, it's newer. It's using Lightning as that base and stuff. So I feel like the space does need something kind of new right now, right? And so we'll see how much attention it gets. We know the guy that's behind it, David Marcus, has a lot of power in terms of his network. He is well known through all the Silicon Valley, that kind of industry stuff. What will that have, in terms of an effect with the stuff that we're used to, the programmability stuff? Because I do think one thing you did get right in that conversation that we had was that he's really focused on the success of Lightspark, which is the company that is kind of above this, right?
The parent company.
But then you got Ethan Marcus the younger, the one that knows that like the future is programmability as well, and you have to have that. And he's front running or managing or the lead of Flashnet, which is the programmability there. It could be a deadly combination, right? But I think we'll learn a lot more very soon of what their intentions are, how aggressive they're going to get, and also what kind of market how they respond to different markets, right? So if we get Santa Rally, how do they respond to that?
100%. Let's move along the trenches here. We got Monad up next. So Monad's something that we've covered on the show a lot.
I hate that picture so much.
I love it, bro. It's so good. I want to meet this guy in person. But you do have nad.fun, which is the number one launch pad on Monad, I guess you would say.
Yeah, it is.
All right, so What's been going on over here? You know, we see you know, this thing is up 100% from the bottom. It seems like got them like 2.1 million, now back up to 4.2. You had stuff like Moncock, you know, get up to 2 million, down a little bit here. But you are right. I am seeing a trend here where every coin is pretty much down. Every meme coin is down about 50%, not only on Spark but also on Monad as well.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what makes me not worry too much about stuff in the Spark ecosystem right now, is that I'm seeing, you know, Moncock was at almost 3 million a day and a half ago, sitting at 1.3 million. Chog has just been such a big mess in general, but you know, I will say the leader of the Chog community, Benja, like he's been able to take on a lot of the criticism, put out stuff out there, but like the market cap itself, right? Like going to, I think 15 million, a lot of people top blasted that for it to really sell down to, I think 2 almost. Right. So now you're sitting at like this comfortable 4 in terms of a little bit of a comfortable 4 just being at 2, I would say, not overall, but having this hovering around 3 to 4. And then, you know, the rest. I think the strongest community in all of this, and for clarity, I do hold some NAD, but I do think it's the NAD's community. They're constantly working in comments. They weren't a part of the original plan of the past 2.5 years of the Monad community, of like a Maminal or whatever they call them. And I think that's why initially they got shunned a bit, right? But they're starting to get, you know, recognized because they don't stop, right? There's constantly in the comments, they, you know, so NADS has always been referred to the Monad community. So that has definitely, you know, taken a hit. It was at an all-time high of like almost 3 million. It's sitting at 200K, but it's survived and it's bounced back as well. And then you have some of these one-offs throughout this, right? That where you can see maybe reminded from day one. But I will say, as a whole, yes, it's taken a hit the past day, almost day and a half, right? Similar to Spark a bit, right? They both kind of had this energy injection about 2-3 days ago, and then now they're kind of chilling. And it's because Bitcoin's bounced back, and what's happening with Bitcoin, we got to figure it out.
100%. Any last words on Monad before we move along here? It looks like there's a lot of opportunity here, I'm not gonna lie.
I think there is, especially if we get into more risk on because of the circulating supply of the Monad token. I do think that like there's just speaking on the Monad token itself, and as all you guys know, it's never financial advice here, but the opportunity is to the upside because of the circulating supply and how that can be really jolted up in a risk on environment. Now, do we get into any risk on environment this month, or do we have to wait till February, you know, to really start there? Maybe January, maybe March, who knows? That's the question. And as you can see, you know, there seems to be some sort of bounce back here.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely doesn't feel like the bottom is in here at 2.2, and then you have this build up here. It did have a little bit dip back down to 26, but it does look like it's back over to 3. I think if it can maintain at 3 cents, if that can be like the local floor and kind of move up to 5-6 cents, this thing could really, that Monad ecosystem could really run. I think it really depends on what happens. I guess every ecosystem depends on the chain token, right? Like Solana ecosystem depends on Solana token, how good that does. But if it does too good, people might sell down to get in the Solana token. So there's that. And it's a lot. So if Monad starts blowing up, you might see some of the meme coins kind of fall back and then eventually pick back up and stuff like that. But let's move along to our next trenches, which is the normal one here, which
the normal one,
Solana one, the original trenches, right?
The OG,
the OG. So
OG,
I'm looking on
ETH, but for this cycle, for sure.
Yeah, meme coin launchpad, I guess you would say, right? Like the OG of that. But and then you have what's going on over here? I see some tokens here. 10 hours ago, 3 million. Then you see, you know, 1 day ago, 5 million, stuff like that. What's going on? Have you been paying attention to the Solana trenches at all?
So I, you know, admittingly, you know, I have not focused as much on the Solana trenches, but I have glanced over, and what I have seen is kind of what Solana's been going through anyways, really. And that is daily runners that never sustain, right? And so you did, now again, going back, let's say a week ago, you had maybe even a week and a half, so a little bit of a head start with them. You had stuff like Wojak go to like 50 million. Now that's sitting at like 35. You had Troll is down to 30 million. And if you remember over the summer, it got to 240 million, and it got listed on Coinbase, mind you.
Oh my
Right?
God.
So now that there's this kind of new, and Solana is the king chain of shitters when it comes to metas, right? The meta rotation is absolutely nuts. There's a new meta every day. Yesterday, the meta was the Pokemon Strategic Reserve, right? Buying those coins.
Still strong. Still strong.
Yeah, I think it got to 10 million, right? Or something like that. I don't know what it's at now. What is it at?
5 million.
So it's cut in half, right? So that's another point that I'm making here, and that is Solana has the most concentrated liquidity, especially when it comes to trading these meme coins. So you are always going to have the daily hits, but the sustainability is not going to be there. You had this guy, Jack Duval, which is kind of, he's definitely made a name for himself in the space, but he started to, go to TikTok, and he has a pretty good audience over there. I'm not gonna lie, and he's trying to change the trenches, get more sustainability. The TikTok coin was the one that he was trying to push, and it got to like 3-4 million. I don't know what the top was. It's sitting at 100,000 right now. So again, going to add more to my point of people are looking to Bitcoin, saying, "Hey, Bitcoin, when are you going to find your footing? When are you going to happy that you bounced back here, but can we speed rush this to 110 and chill for a bit?" That kind of mentality here, because the trenches is definitely not holding. And let's be honest, the people that are really controlling the price action in the trenches are people that are dealing with size and strategy, right? With size. And they are the ones that are saying, well, until Bitcoin decides, so maybe they have it in Bitcoin. Maybe they, you know what I mean? Maybe they're trying to wait until so they can make profit and then trickle down. But that's where we are with the trenches.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think it gets better here? Do you think we're sitting here next Wednesday? Do you think we start to see some momentum? I'm not talking about price action. I mean more momentum.
Well, I think price action does flow with momentum in this, right? And sustainability is, I think, the key word. Can anything sustain? Can we have any holders? I think we can, but next week, I don't know, right? We really got to see. As always, we're kind of looking to Bitcoin here. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And back to Abstractio asking me, what do I think about Bitcoin dominance? One thing about dominance is that people look at is, especially around, they feel like it's the bear market, is that dominance starts to go up. But I don't look at what I saw earlier today as necessarily that situation. I look at it as Bitcoin rebounding, because it wasn't selling alts into that, by the way. It was just people buying Bitcoin cheap, right? And then you saw the red candle today. So we really need to figure out where Bitcoin is going to land here. And
100%.
Once it lands, I think we can kind of get our focus off of it and say, okay, where are some other opportunities right now?
What's that number for you for Bitcoin? 96, 98, 101?
105 to 110 in between. 105 to 110.
That could be the whole month.
Well, it could be, but it could be in 2 days. You know what I mean? We've seen Bitcoin do some crazy volatile things, right? I mean, and so we'll see how aggressive it gets, and then so that's kind of my sweet spot. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's slightly under, but at the end of the day, we got to see a hovering of that without a crash. You know what I mean? Can it slowly pull back, a small percentage? Sure. And then find that footing and then kind of refocus on where the opportunities are. Sure.
100%. Well, that's our show today, guys. Absolutely amazing show today, dude. I think we absolutely killed it. But you guys came in strong today with the comments. Shout out to Ryan. Shout out to all you guys who really came. Mike Bennett, man, really appreciate you, man. I'm glad you're out of prison. I really am glad, man. Appreciate you, man. He said Tether is one of the biggest buyers of U.S. Treasury. Yes, and that is a thing too. They had to worry about. They're actually the number one country or state that actually has bonds. So shout out to them for sure. But shout out to Mr. Hanky. Shout out to all you guys, man. Any shout outs from the pump stream?
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat, CT app, Boss. Who else we got in here? E1W. So they get assigned default usernames in here, as well as Abstract does that too. Shout out to Abstract too. Abstractio definitely in the chat. Appreciate those questions. Really good questions from both communities today. And we're going to focus on continually growing all our communities on all platforms. So make sure you guys are dropping questions and comments in the chat. We'll get to them. Very respectful in the Pump Fun chat. You know, sometimes I don't expect that. That thing is Pump Fun, but like I've been in some of these chats. And so definitely like the community that's growing there. And shout out to the Zora community too. You guys are awesome. Everybody that has been supporting us and watching us, you know, we never want like sympathy or anything, but you know, just to let you guys know, it's not easy, you know, running a media company in the hardest supposedly bull market year of all of crypto, right? But we are determined individuals that are looking to just really, you know, push forward whenever things get tough. And I think that's you guys. You guys are the epitome of that, right? Like it's not been easy, especially from a retail standpoint. So you know, kudos to y'all. But that's the show. Like Shizzy said, appreciate each and every one of you guys. Without you guys, we could not do this show. And I want to emphasize that every single day. And we are very appreciative of you guys and love whenever you guys come back for sure, like Mike and all that stuff. But also without our partners, we couldn't do it. So if you could check them out, we would greatly appreciate that. Emblem Vault is the interoperability layer for the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you are looking to jump or bridge, if you're more familiar with that term, the Bitcoin NFTs like Rare Pepe's, Nakamoto cards, those type of NFTs, counterparty ones over to Ethereum. And you can also jump your ordinals as well. You got to use Emblem Vault. Why? They've been doing it for the longest. And I think they are the largest service provider in this, but they have the most experience too. They've been building in Bitcoin since 2013 and they've been there since the, you know, the creation of NFTs, right? So, you can actually take your Taproot Wizard ordinal over to the Gandhi application right now on ETH and take a loan out against it. And so they are offering that right now with the Taproot Wizards. And then they're going to open this up to other layers as well. And Solana is one of those layers. And speaking of Solana, they have the best AI product in all of Solana called Agent Hustle.ai, which is on a tear right now on that rebound. But with Agent Hustle, you can actually ask Hustle, find you a couple low cap gems in the Solana ecosystem. But it doesn't stop at Solana. They integrated into Hedera as well as Binance Smart Chain. That's why I'm so bullish on what they're doing here, making it more convenient for us. You know, it's going to be a one-stop shop there. But, you know, Hustle will bring back some low-cap gems in all those environments and tell you why he thinks that they're solid. You can also do conditional trading with Hustle, meaning that you can do buy and sell limit orders on any of the tokens that are supported in those ecosystems as well. Now, you can try Hustle out with the free subscription. You do have only a couple prompts that you can test them out on, but you get a taste and see if that's something you like. But if you want to upgrade, which I recommend that because you get more prompts and more tools, you can get one of the paid subscriptions there. And you can pay with the Hustle token, which is the single token that powers the entire Emblem ecosystem. And you'll get a 30% discount if you pay with that token. But there is another product in their ecosystem, and it's called Migrate.fun. And Migrate.fun allows you to migrate from one Solana meme coin launchpad to another. That you might say, well, the liquidity is locked up. They help you get that liquidity out. Of course, your community has to be on board with that. So you got to make sure that they're good. And then you can reach out to Migrate.fun to see if they have an open spot in their next cohort. They already completed 2 cohorts with some big names in there, and they're going through their 3rd cohort, which is a Pump Fun focused cohort. So Pump Fun is on board with them. Migrate.fun is just really the optimal third-party service provider for migrations on Solana. You can reach out to them at migrate.fun if you have any questions, or emblem.vision, which will break down all the products I just went over for you guys. And then Merlin Chain is uniting Bitcoin's strength to the power of AI. They have their AI wizard version 2.0 that can guide you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem, but it can swap for tokens outside of the ecosystem as well. All you got to do is have some Merlin Chain Bitcoin in your Merlin Chain wallet, which is a MetaMask wallet or any of the approved Bitcoin wallets like Unisat or Xverse. And you can swap for Solana tokens that are hot or BSC tokens that are hot. So awesome that they integrated that, but it can guide you through Merlin Chain's ecosystem as well. And it can do DeFi functionalities on your behalf, like swap on Merlin Swap or stake. And speaking of staking, they have a proof of stake security model for Merlin Chain. And you can participate in 3 ways. The first way is staking Bitcoin to earn more Bitcoin. They finished their first staking vault September 30th and got 17% APR for their stakers, which is amazing because you get paid out in Bitcoin. Imagine staking a bunch of Bitcoin and getting 17% APR for that and paid in Bitcoin. Amazing. right? The current staking vault is open until January 8th. So you got a little over a month to participate in that. And I'm sure they're going to open up another staking vault after that. But for the current one, they're going to shoot for that same range, minimum 8%, maximum 21% APR to get back for their stakers there. And then there's 2 ways to stake the Merlin Chain token. The first one is the flexible day-to-day staking option, which you earn 15% APR in this one, and you can claim your rewards daily and do a compound interest strategy or sell or keep your Merlin Chain tokens, whatever you want to do. If you do want to withdraw your Merlin Chain tokens, there's a 7-day cooldown period. It's just a part of their policy, so just know that. And then the last option is the bonded 6-month lockup period, which you stake your Merlin Chain tokens, but you earn 45% APR. You can claim your rewards daily in this one too, so that's super awesome because they're locked up for 6 months, but you can get those rewards daily. And yeah, do whatever you want with those Merlin Chain tokens. Merlin Chain has been really hot with obviously their token, but what they've been doing as well, just constantly educating about their ecosystem, and they have some amazing stuff coming in the near future. So make sure you're following them on X and on merlinchain.io. Thank you guys so much for checking out our partners.
Yep. Great job, man. As always. And guys, have a few more minutes and wouldn't mind checking out onchainrevolution.io. Some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel like it can help them get started and caught up to where we are today. Brand new article just dropped, Fed ends QT. This is the biggest narrative, in my opinion, for the next 6 months. This is what is going to be the beginning of a huge run up. And you can look back and say, hey, you know, it started with the Fed QT, it ended with the new chairman, right? And then, you know, potentially it started again in September, right before I'm stuck to that. I'm stuck to that, guys. I really think that is what it's going to be. But definitely check out everything you need to know about the Fed and QT right there. Especially about articles about Monet, about everything else, 30% pullbacks. So many articles here. Check them all out here, guys. And VPN. If you guys don't have a VPN, I highly, highly recommend Nord. Why get something like Nord? Well, there's many reasons. The main reason for me to have it is I use Hyperliquid with it. I can use sites like MEXC. I love MEXC. And then on top of that, it's about privacy. Right. I don't want to like launch a coin or something like that, and then people find out my IP address. My IP address could land me back. Could land you to my actual address. Right. Just doing a little bit of research could see, okay, this guy's IP leads him right to Philadelphia. Right? I don't want that. I don't want that at all. So I use a VPN for that reason. And on top of that, I put my my VPN to Italy. I'm able to see Italian TikTok. TikTok is the greatest thing ever. It really is. It's way better than US TikTok. There's a thing called Italian brain rot. And it's
I heard of
hilarious.
that.
It's absolutely hilarious. So I've been watching a lot of Italian brain rot because I have my VPN on Italy. But definitely highly recommend you guys get a VPN. Do not do things, especially in crypto, on your phone, on your computer without a VPN. One VPN gets you up to 10 accounts. So you can put one on your iPad, one on your phone, one on your computer, all for the same price. You're locking it in for $3 a month. Lock it in for 2 years, and you get an extra 3 months. So you get 27 months for potentially $70, right? Can't beat that. Lock it in for 2 years. Set it, forget it. You have a VPN. You can use it whenever you want. Locked in your phone, your computer, and everything else. And on top of that, speaking of locking in, if you are locking in for the long term, which I think a lot of people should be doing when it comes to Bitcoin, you guys can get yourself a ledger. You guys can get the Ledger Nano X, which is my favorite, 50% off for now, $75. This is the one with Bluetooth capability and all. I love this one. This is the one that I have. They also have a lot of other ones as well. I haven't used these ones yet, but I potentially will get one. But definitely, if you're going to buy a ledger, make sure you do it through our site so you guys get the discount, and then we get the credit for it as well. So definitely check out everything here at onchainrevolution.io. Remember, guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC.
Shout out to Boss Train over on Pump Streams. Appreciate you. I'll tell you about it later, but I wanted to give him a shout out there.
Yeah, shout out. Was it Boss Streamer?
Boss Train. He's trying to get us Boss Train over on Pump. He's trying to get us some more views. Anybody that tries to help us out like that, you got to give him a shout out.
100%. Until tomorrow.
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed, gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain revolution.